Mission from the UN's International Atomic Energy Agency will be visiting Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The Director General of the International Atomic Agency, Rafael Grossi, confirmed the same. Taking to Twitter, he said, and I quote, "The IAEA team is now heading to Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant." The tweet by Grossi comes a day after Russia and Ukraine traded fresh accusations of shelling at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, further intensifying fears that the fighting could intensify further. A massive radiation leak. Ukrainian officials on Sunday accused Moscow of firing Russian artillery at Ukrainian towns across the river from the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Ukraine's state nuclear company has now said that the Russian troops had again shelled the grounds of the complex and that the damage was currently being assessed. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry has said that there was more Ukrainian shelling in the plant in the last 24 hours, claiming that a pipeline had been damaged in the latest attacks.
Киевский режим продолжает провокации с целью создания угрозы техногенной ядерной катастрофы на Запорожской атомной электростанции. За прошедшие сутки зафиксировано 2 обстрела артиллерийскими подразделениями Вооруженных сил Украины территории атомной станции. Всего было выпущено 9 снарядов, 3 из которых упали в районе спецкорпуса номер 2, в котором хранится свежее ядерное топливо фирмы ТВЭЛ, и твердые радиоактивные отходы.
Citing concerns of a radiation leak, the Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba has said that Russian forces had turned the plant into a military base, further putting the whole continent at risk. Currently, residents living around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant are now being taught how to use iodine in case of a radiation leak.
Мы покупали еще в первый раз, когда там зимой. Когда была первая угроза какая-то, когда они обстреляли. Мы покупали в аптеке, был только ядофол, и он с добавками идет. Он как бы есть у нас, но там в добавке фолиевая кислота, поэтому...
Сказали те, що дорослі таблетку, а от у мене дитина, син 8 років, там пів таблетки дозування.
The U.S. State Department also asserted on how Moscow did not want to acknowledge the grave radiological risk at the nuclear power plant. This statement by Washington comes after Moscow on Friday blocked an agreement on the final draft of a review of the UN Treaty on Nuclear Disarmament. And for more details, joining us now is our correspondent Sergio Olmos. He joins us now from Zaporizhzhia. Sergio, thanks so much for joining us. Fears from shelling around this plant have sparked concerns, global concerns of radiation leaking out. How will this recent or the upcoming IAEA visit change the status quo on ground?
Well, good morning. It would be absolutely essential from where I'm standing. I'm in Zaporizhzhia, just about 30 miles from the nuclear power plant. This area here has been, it includes the radius where local officials have begun handing out iodine tablets to about 400,000 people in this radius. Because of the threat of radiation from the nuclear power plant. We know that the international community would be able to have some assurance because of Ukraine says that Russia's selling the plant. Russia says Ukraine is selling the plant. With this upcoming mission by the International Atomic Energy Agency, the international community would have a little bit of insurance that there is no threat of radiation. They'd be able to see the plant, ascertain any damage, see if everything's working properly. We know that according to Ukraine's state energy company, radiation levels are normal today, but they have been giving updates every day about how citizens should protect themselves should radiation be spewing. And indeed, in the last week, we've had the power be cut from the energy plant. We've had the backup generators kick in, which is the last stopgap for those nuclear reactors to maintain cooling.
Right, Sergio, there's a bigger question to be asked here. Is Russia going to pay any heed to the advisory or any kind of assessment that may come from the IAEA at this point in the war?
Well, what we know is that the calls for the International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors to be allowed into the plant had been going on for a couple of weeks. Finally, President Vladimir Putin agreed to allow them to come. So that alone is a huge step. What happens after they visit, during the visit, that we'll see. But we know from reporting in the Telegraph and the Guardian that the workers there, workers inside the plant, tell those newspapers that they are being tortured ahead of these visits, that they are being told to keep silent, that representatives from Russian-backed representatives are being installed as department heads, and that they will speak to inspectors. So even before this visit, there is some concern that inspectors might not get the best picture about what's happening inside that plant.
Right, absolutely. Sergio, just a final question there. You are, of course, reporting for us from Zaporizhzhia. It's a region being talked about across the world. How are people there preparing for a possible radiation risk?
Well, as I said, the authorities have begun handing out iodine tablets, something that they were real hesitant to do. I've been here for a couple of weeks, and I can tell you that that was something that authorities did not want to talk about, but they have begun handing out iodine tablets. They have every day there is updates for citizens to see weather patterns and where radioactive dust clouds might head. There's been an update to the air raid sirens. Before, there was only just the air raid siren. It tells you to go down to the shelter. You don't want that with radiation. You actually there's with air raid sirens, there's one for evacuation and one for radiation, meaning go up, close your doors, close your windows, change your clothing if you're coming in from the outside. So they've had to update the air raid sirens. There's also radiation monitoring teams here that monitor radiation levels 24/7. They can put on their suits within 30 seconds and help with evacuations should those occur. But as I said, there is if evacuations do occur here in Zaporizhzhia, it's about 400,000 people, and it would be a bottleneck. So nobody wants that. What people are hoping for is that this mission to the nuclear power plant is successful.
Absolutely, Sergio. Thank you so much for all those on-ground updates, and thanks for joining us on WION at this hour. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.